The moment was haunting. A tiny barefoot girl, no older than 2, emerged from the back seat of a parked vehicle, her little arms raised high in the air, mimicking the universal sign of surrender. Before we continue, please take some time to subscribe to Dailydose, like, and share this video. She stepped down onto the pavement slowly, unsure, and trembling not from cold, but from the overwhelming chaos surrounding her. Her father was in handcuffs. Her mother was seated inside, trying to stay calm. Officers had surrounded the vehicle. Sirens flashed. Voices echoed. And amidst it all, this toddler, barefoot and vulnerable, walked toward armed officers with her hands up. It all began with a routine call to the Tallahassee Police Department. A vehicle had been flagged for suspected shoplifting. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary, just another traffic stop. But what unfolded next was anything but routine. Inside the vehicle were 2 men and 1 woman adults, who were immediately asked to exit the vehicle and were placed in handcuffs. As officers maintained protocol, the rear door of the vehicle creaked open. What they saw made everyone freeze. From beneath the heavy door, tiny feet dangled. Then, slowly, the little girl made her way down. She wasn't crying. She wasn't panicking. She was copying what she saw. Her dad had his hands up, so she did too. A bystander filming the incident gasped. In her voice, a mixture of disbelief and heartbreak. "Oh my God, she's trying to get out." Another voice can be heard asking, "Is the officer pointing a gun at her?" Confusion spread instantly. To a viewer unfamiliar with tactical positioning, it looked like an officer had a weapon aimed near the toddler. The video, which would later explode on social media, sparked outrage and debate. Had the child been put in danger? Were officers overstepping? The Tallahassee Police Department responded quickly. To avoid misinformation, they released full body cam footage of the incident. What it revealed changed the narrative entirely. From the body cam, a different perspective emerged. The sergeant on scene could be heard speaking in a soft, comforting tone. "You're okay, sweetie. You're okay," he repeated gently, his voice steady and warm. The officers never pointed a weapon at the girl they were securing the vehicle, not the child. But in the heat of the moment, the toddler's innocent mimicry made the situation feel far more intense. The sergeant, understanding the delicacy of the moment, made a conscious decision not to rush toward the child. "She doesn't know me," he explained later. "The last thing we wanted was for her to panic or run into traffic." His instincts were protective, not aggressive. "Her mom's right there. Let her go to her mom." The child hesitated for a moment, then toddled toward her mother. Officers had made the decision not to handcuff the woman so she could care for her daughter, a rare but thoughtful deviation from standard procedure. That compassion didn't end there. There was still a 1-year-old baby inside the vehicle, strapped safely into a car seat. An officer approached the mother and offered assistance. "Hey, how's it going?" he asked kindly as he leaned into the car to help her retrieve the infant. His demeanor was calm, respectful, and careful. During a search of the vehicle, officers discovered a pellet gun. It wasn't lethal, but it looked real enough to cause concern. Still, that wasn't what people would remember about that day. What captured national attention wasn't the potential weapon or the alleged shoplifting. It was the image of a barefoot child stepping out of a car with her hands raised. It was the heartbreak of seeing a child forced to process adult fear. It was the raw, unfiltered emotion that poured from viewers who saw the clip online, many of whom said they cried upon watching. The Tallahassee Police Department emphasized that their officers acted with care and compassion, and as more body cam footage was reviewed, it became clear that they had tried to de-escalate rather than intensify. Still, the situation sparked questions across the country. How do children internalize what they see? Why did a 2-year-old instinctively raise her hands? What does it say about the world she's growing up in? One expert in child development explained, "Children mimic what they observe. If a parent is arrested and told to raise their hands, the child sees that as the right action to take. They're trying to survive, to fit into the situation." Another added, "What's tragic is that this is probably not the first time she's witnessed something like this." The internet was divided. Some praised the officers for their restraint and humanity. Others were outraged that the situation ever reached a point where a toddler felt the need to surrender. In response, the police department released an official statement. "We understand how disturbing this image is. We want to assure the public that our officers took every precaution to protect the children involved. We released the body cam footage to be transparent and to show that the situation was handled with compassion. But the video had already gone viral. Millions viewed it. Thousands commented. Some were parents themselves, shaken by the thought of their own children in such a scenario. Others were former officers defending the conduct of the Tallahassee police. What remained undeniable, however, was the impact of that one image. A child, barefoot, scared, trying to copy what she thought would keep her safe. As days passed, the family involved remained mostly silent. The police didn't press charges on the spot, but an investigation into the suspected shoplifting was ongoing. Child Protective Services were reportedly informed, but there were no reports of the children being taken from the family. Meanwhile, the officer who comforted the little girl was quietly praised by his department. In that moment, he didn't just follow training, one colleague said. He followed his heart. And that's perhaps what this story is really about. In the middle of fear, misunderstanding, and chaos, a child took a few brave steps. And thankfully, the people around her chose compassion over protocol. The image of the barefoot toddler with her hands raised stayed with viewers long after the video ended. It was replayed on news channels, dissected in online forums, and shared with captions like heartbreaking and this should never happen to a child. But while the internet debated, one question lingered. What happened to the little girl after that moment? Journalists tried to reach the family, but they remained largely silent, perhaps overwhelmed by the attention or simply trying to protect their privacy. However, a close friend of the family eventually spoke anonymously. She said the family was shaken by what happened, especially the mother, who had no idea her daughter had exited the vehicle that way. She was trying to stay calm in front of the police, the friend said. But when she saw the footage later of her baby stepping out with her hands up, she broke down crying. According to the friend, the little girl had witnessed a similar arrest before. It wasn't her first time seeing someone in handcuffs. Her father had previous run-ins with the law, and at least one arrest had taken place near the family's home. So when she saw her father cuffed again, she did what she thought she was supposed to do. Experts weighed in on the psychological toll that such experiences can have on children. Repeated exposure to traumatic event, especially involving authority figure scan, imprint fear, confusion, and anxiety, said Dr. Carla Jimenez, a child psychologist. The gesture of raising hands isn't just mimicry. It's a survival instinct learned too early. In response, several local organizations in Tallahassee reached out to offer support to the family, especially for the children. Community counselors offered free therapy, and a GoFundMe was quietly set up by a concerned parent who had seen the video online. "We can't just debate this and move on," the organizer wrote in the campaign description. "We need to help this little girl and her family heal." The campaign gained traction, raising thousands of dollars within a week. Many donors left heartfelt messages, some saying the girl reminded them of their own daughters, nieces, or grandkids. Others expressed sorrow that children in America were growing up thinking they needed to surrender to stay safe. Meanwhile, the Tallahassee Police Department stood by its officers, reiterating that they followed protocol and showed restraint. They even held a press conference to answer questions from the community. "We are fathers, mothers, uncles, and aunts ourselves," said Police Chief Lawrence Talbot. "Seeing a child in that situation hurts us as much as it does the public. But I want to commend our officers for staying calm, for not escalating, and for focusing on the safety of those children." At the press conference, reporters asked whether the department would revise procedures when children are present. The chief responded affirmatively. "We are reviewing everything. Anytime we learn something from the field, we adapt. We want our officers trained not just for tactical scenarios, but for human ones." The officer who softly called the child to her mother, Sergeant Daniels, asked if he had children of his own. "I have two," he replied. "A daughter just about her age. When I saw her walk out with her hands up, it hit me hard. I just wanted to get her to her mom as quickly and gently as possible." His voice cracked slightly as he continued. "They come into this world so innocent, they shouldn't have to know what hands up means." The story continued to ripple far beyond Florida. It became a symbol for many things: policing, race, poverty, justice, compassion, but most importantly, it reminded everyone how much children absorb from the world around them. Weeks after the video went viral, a letter arrived at the Tallahassee Police Department addressed simply to the officer who helped the little girl. Inside was a hand-drawn picture. Crayon colors filled the page. A stick figure family holding hands, standing in the sunshine. Beside them, another stick figure of police officers smiling. Below it were just 4 words: "Thank you for caring." That drawing was pinned to the department's bulletin board the next day. It didn't solve everything. It didn't undo the trauma or erase the questions still lingering in many minds. But it reminded the officers and everyone watching that empathy matters, that how we handle the smallest, most vulnerable among us can define who we are as a society.